Hello, JJDL viewers. Skippy here, coach of the Steel City Surge, back again for week 3 in the GN POW Wi-Fi division for the JJDL. This week we actually have the host of the JJDL, John Jr., is our matchup this week. And he kind of has a team that matches up decently well for us, I would say. It's a very bulky team with not a lot of speed, mainly the speed coming from Iron Boulder and Frostlass, but also with a lot of bulk with Rillaboom, Ursaluna Blood Moon, Raging Bolt, with Tera, by the way. Free Tera Raging Bolt is kind of nuts. Blastoise and Iron Hands, and there's also Wigglytuff there, but I don't see it doing all that much for him. We have a decent matchup in here, like I just said. We have some very, very strong plays that we can make in this matchup. Now, obviously, we're going to start real quick with the kind of a menace on the other side of the field. We do have a very big rock weakness in general. So, looking at Iron Boulder in this matchup, it seems extremely good, which is why I kind of have two different checks for it. Technically, three if you want to get really technical with it, but our main check for it is going to be Terra Ground Arboliva. We are running a Pitaya Berry here just to get some special attack increases. We are running mainly a bulky set with it. 236 HP EVs with 120 in defense and a bold nature allows us to be 3-hit KO or guarantee a 3-hit KO against booster attack or booster speed Iron Boulder. And that's including Mighty Cleave, that's also including Close Combat. We also have Strength Sap and Giga Drain there for recovery and Earth Power for Ground Stab. I do believe we can OHKO Iron Boulder even at like before +1 with with this Arboliva set here, unless he decides to run AV. In that case, it would be a 2-shot guaranteed, although +1 would allow us to a little more easily take down the boulder. Strength Sap obviously there for recovery reasons since we aren't running a Citrus Berry with this set. And then we have Weather Ball. If we are in Sun, that's good coverage for the Rillaboom. It's good coverage for the Skarmory. Even the Frostlass, if it decides to show up and try to do an ice move or switch in or anything like that. And we can also use this as kind of a check for Terra Ice Raging Bolt, which I think is a likely bring here just because Lando kind of checks Raging Bolt in that sense. And we did bring Lando, obviously, and Ice is kind of annoying for us, even though we do have 3 fire types. So I do think Terra Ice Raging Bolt is a likely option. I also see Terra Fairy could be coming. Terra Steel seems like a good defensive option. Even Terra Water seems like a very good defensive option, but we do have our way around that as well. To move on from our check for Iron Boulder, we do have our kind of wall breaker slash potential sweeper in the late game with Gouging Fire, obviously. This week we are bringing more of a bulky, physically offensive set with booster energy in case we don't have Sun up and we need to get that extra attack boost. We do have Flare Blitz and Earthquake for our attacking moves with Dragon Dance for setup, as well as Morning Sun to just get some reliable recovery, as we are probably going to be taking a good amount of chip from all of these bulky mons. So the goal is to get to +1, potentially +2. It really depends. +1 with this current build with 148 speed does allow us to outspeed Iron Boulder after its booster energy gets used up, or just in general if he decides to go max speed. So we can outspeed that and then OHKO with Earthquake from there. And then Flare Blitz is just insane stab, especially in the Sun. It can pretty much take out most of his team in general. We got coverage for Iron Hands, Rillaboom. We got that Iron Boulder checked off. It'll do massive damage to Pre-Terra Raging Bolts. It should do massive damage to the likes of Frostlass and Skarmory very easily. Wigglytuff shouldn't be able to live anything. Blastoise might take some chip. Ursaluna Blood Moon might take some chip and fire back a very powerful Blood Moon or Earth Power, so it really depends on what all is brought on the other side, but we do have some checks in place for some of those more threatening mons. Going on to our next mon for this week, we do have kind of another set that could be good against Iron Boulder, but it's more mainly for other mons. We do have Choice Scarf Azelf with Terra Steel as more of a backup defensive Terra. Our main goal is to use Terra Ground Arboliva, but Terra Steel Azelf is a good option here just to try to mitigate some damage on it if we need it. It has enough speed that it will outspeed Terra Modest, or no, not Terra Modest, Shell Smash Modest Blastoise. After a Shell Smash, and then Grass Knot should do massive damage in return and should nearly knock it out, if not guaranteed knock it out. So, Shell Smash Blastoise, I don't believe John has brought it yet, but it is still a threat. And with the fact that his fastest mons are Iron Boulder and Frostlass, having that option there is always a threat. And I would rather have an option or two to be able to counter that or check that, as opposed to not having anything and just getting swept by it. We also have Psyshock there for a potential AV Iron Hands. I do think AV Iron Hands makes a lot of sense. We have a lot of special attackers, and we do have like one or two very good physical attackers. So I think Iron Hands is going to run an AV if it does show up, and it's probably going to be a bulky AV. So Psyshock allows us to get around that hurdle and do massive damage to it. I do believe we are a 2-hit KO with that pre-Terra Steel. And then we have Flamethrower there as a potential lead. If we do see Frostlass or Skarmory, my plan is to lead with Azelf and go for Flamethrower right off the bat because I do not like having any sort of spikes on the field. Hazards are very annoying for me in general, so having a way to try to pressure John into not throwing those off early is going to be key. Then we have U-turn there for momentum in case we do see Frostlass or Skarmory, but it's not the lead. Say it's like Iron Boulder lead. We would probably be outsped by that, but we can get a quick little switch off to try to mitigate any damage there. And next up, we do have Torkoal. We are running another Heat Rock set this week to try to maximize the amount of Sun turns that we get. Yes, Raging Bolt does have photosynthesis, and that is scary, but considering the options I have to try to check that, I don't see it being much of a problem, or at least hopefully not much of a problem. I do have Solar Beam there just to try to catch something off guard if he tries to go Blastoise on Stealth Rock. Lava Plume is there just for stab purposes in case Frostlass decides to switch in on a potential Rapid Spin, trying to clear off any sort of spikes or Stealth Rock or anything like that. And then we have our own Stealth Rock to try to get some chip off on the other side. Mainly Torkoal is here just to get up Sun for Gouging Fire, Arboliva, and our Venusaur, which is our next mon that I'll talk about. It is mainly a specially defensive check to try to live as long as possible. With Venusaur here, we do have an AV, very high speed Venusaur. AV Venusaur with this amount of speed EVs allows us to outspeed a modest Shell Smash Blastoise in the sun and not get OHKO'd by an Ice Beam on the next turn if it does decide to run Timid. If it does decide to run Timid, that's great for us. We can go ahead and Energy Ball and take massive damage off onto that thing and try to chip it down enough so that Azelf can come in and just U-turn out and just knock it out, or go for Grass Knot itself and just knock it out. We also have Weather Ball there for coverage, for fire coverage, specifically for Rillaboom or Skarmory, Frostlass, Tera Ice Raging Bolt, or anything like that, and Tera Raging Bolt in the Sun shouldn't do that much with Thunderclap onto Venusaur, so that should be very good coverage there. Sludge Bomb is there for in case there's in case we're not in Sun in against Rillaboom, we can damage it in very good ways. It's also there in case Wigglytuff decides to show up for whatever reason. And it also is there in case Raging Bolt decides to be Tera Fairy this week. Earth Power is also there as a way to try to take down Iron Boulder or Iron Hands when we're in Sun and Booster Energy has been used up on Boulder, potentially. It's more of like a breaker in the mid game, trying to just do as much damage as it possibly can while the sun's up. Maybe as sun turns are dying down and we need to try to stall out so we can get Torkoal back in and just set up the sun again. And last but not least, we do have Landorus. We are Sheer Force Life Orb again with a lot of speed and a lot of HP as opposed to special attack. We are running a nasty plot set this week. Just because base, like very minimal special attack investment with a modest nature allows us to just 2-hit KO pretty much anything. And if he allows us to get up any sort of nasty plot, we can do massive damage to a number of different mons in his team. I think Landorus pretty much deals with almost everything. We have Grass Knot there for the Blood Moon, for Blastoise. We can use it on Iron Boulder or Terra Water Raging Bolt. Earth Power is there for pre-Terra Raging Bolt. It's there for Iron Hands. It's there for mainly the Iron Boulder as well. And we also have Sludge Wave there for the Rillaboom, Wigglytuff, Terra Fairy Raging Bolt. And then we have, again, Nasty Plot to get that set up. So if we don't see Skarmory or Frostlass, that's great. We go ahead and lead with Landorus. We don't think much else of it, and we just go for a move. So that's the main plan with this team: is lead Azelf or Landorus and try to get as much damage off as possible and put heavy offensive pressure onto John Jr. as quickly as possible. So that's the goal for this matchup. Very excited to see what John cooks up for us this week. I think we cooked up pretty well with this team this week, and we're going to hopefully secure our first win of the season with this matchup. John's also 0-2, just to clarify as well. So we're both fighting for that first win in the W column, and hopefully we can snag that before he does. So best of luck to John this week. Check out his channel down in the description, along with the other coaches for the JJDL. Thank you for Kuroto and Zav Kuroto with helping build this team from the ground up and for this week and just in general for the season. And then Zav as well for the thumbnails and other insights to certain matchups. So appreciate you guys. Appreciate John again for the opportunity this season, and best of luck this week. Hopefully I can show a very good performance and show why I'm a part of this league. So thank you.